I am somebody who chooses to not live with regrets. Like, there's honestly nothing that I would change about my life. And even if I did have the chance to go back in time, there is nothing that I would do differently. And I feel very accepting and grateful for where I'm at in life, no matter what's going wrong or no matter what went wrong. And I also feel very lucky to even feel that way. But I would be lying if I said that I don't still think back and reflect on certain times and wonder how differently things would have turned out if I had chosen to do this one thing or if I had been smarter with my money. And there are two things that I feel like I think about around that often. And the first one is if I had found my passion early on. And to be fair, I still don't feel like I found my one craft or my one passion that gives me my purpose and will to live. And I don't know if I ever will, and that's totally fine because I also don't believe that people were given just one passion or one gift to have in this life. But for example, if I had taken an interest in teaching myself how to produce music when I was 14 years old, by 21, I could have been a multi-millionaire producer with 3 triple platinum albums. Like, I could have been that girl, making a living off of doing something that I love to do every day. I feel that same way about love and dating. Like, if I had gotten into a relationship or if things had worked out with that one person I met when I was 20, then maybe I would have had my first heartbreak by now and I wouldn't have to wonder what it's going to be like and what it's going to feel like when I get my heart broken for the first time. But then I kind of recenter myself and I think about all the things that has gone right in my life and more importantly the things that I've learned about myself just by trying things out, going through shit, making mistakes, like truly just from existing. And I think that I also have this natural sense of confidence underneath everything that comes from knowing that this is my story, that this is my experience, my journey, and nobody can take that away from me. And regardless of the things that are going south in my life, I'm just happy to be living life as me. And I think that there is a lot of pressure by people around us and by society to do things a certain way and to do things correctly when you're in your 20s or just when you're in our youth in general, because this is supposed to be the best time of our lives. This is supposed to be our peak health, peak beauty, peak energy. Like, you need to be starting your business now and investing so you could retire by the time you're 40 and travel the world while you're still in good health and date around and take all these risks. And I know that that sentiment is obviously very valid. Like, there is truth to it. Mistakes you make in your 20s have far less consequences and stakes than they do in your 40s or 50s. But I think that we often forget that underneath all of that pressure and underneath all of the things that people tell you to do to make the most of your youth is the most important thing, which is that you're learning. And your 30s are also about learning. Your 40s are also about learning. Like, you never really stop learning and growing as a person. And I think the difference is that in your 20s, of course, you're fully conscious for the first time as an adult. Like, you're experiencing a lot of firsts and you just recently developed a personality. And so every lesson and every revelation you come to feels so big and so new. And there's this fear of wasting your time. At least for me, like, I felt it honestly by the time I was like 18 or 19. I felt like I was running out of time. And it's so crazy that we are made to feel that way so young, because learning is not specific to an age, but also the way that my brain works and the way that I kind of understand this is time is inevitable. Like, life is inevitable, and regardless of whether or not you are traveling the world and running 3 businesses or you're rotting in bed for 16 hours a day, the same amount of time is going to pass through you and the same amount of life is going to pass through you. And so regardless of how you're spending your time, just by living and existing, you're not doing anything wrong. And there is no correct way to spend your time. And that sounds so common sense and obvious, and yet I still see so many people around me get so caught up and feel like they're doing everything wrong or they're not doing enough. And none of that is real. And I feel like what it truly boils down to, like if we're gonna talk about spending your time correctly, it's just about figuring out how you learn best, because that's also different for everyone. Like some people learn best by getting their hands dirty and doing it themselves. Like that's why they need to get in there, get the experience, make the mistakes, and physically learn from them. Other people, they learn from reading about other people's experiences in books or seeing it visually through film or through art. Some people need to find a teacher that they connect with that can articulate concepts in a way that they can really understand and digest. For me personally, it's through cycles of thought. Like I really think about things deeply and I like to get to the bottom of things and understand the processes or the cause and effect of why things are the way that they are in order for me to really process and move on from things, even personal experiences in my life. And even understanding that or not wanting to understand that, I feel like gives insight into who you are as a person. So in whatever way it makes sense to you to explore and to learn, all that matters is that you're learning. And because learning is inevitable by simply existing as time passes, you are not doing anything wrong. You're just living. And that is enough.